Figure 13.8 Using Chained Exceptions.java. In this example, we're going to discuss a concept called chained exceptions. The basic idea is that when you are designing a class library and the methods within that class library, you're going to often run into problems that occur. When those problems occur, you may want to temporarily trap them inside of your own methods and wrap the exception objects into new exception objects that provide more detailed information to the client code that's calling your methods. And perhaps you wish that they also see the original cause of the problem as well. So for that purpose, Java facilitates chaining exception objects together as you create new exception objects. And here we have a mechanical example to demonstrate that concept. In main of this example, we have a try block where we're going to call a method named method1. When you look at method 1, you see that method 1 says it throws exceptions. So in the body of method 1, we see a try block where we're invoking another method named method 2. And when you look at method 2, you see that method 2 also says that it throws exceptions. And in its body, we have a try block where we invoke method 3. And when you look at method 3, you see that it too throws exceptions. Now in the body of method 3, we actually throw a new exception of type exception with the error message exception thrown in method 3. And that of course causes method 3 to terminate and unwind from the method call stack and return to the calling method at line 36. Now because line 36 is in a try block, we have an opportunity here at line 38 to catch the exception that occurred, which we do. And you'll notice in the body of this catch handler that I'm actually throwing an entirely new exception object with my own customized error message saying that we now have an exception that was thrown in method 2 and a reference to the exception that originally was sent back to this method and caught at line 38. And this is what's chaining the exceptions together. We're embedding in this new exception object a reference to the original exception object, and anybody who looks at the stack trace information for this exception object that we're creating here will be able to see the stack trace information for both of the exceptions in the chain. Now because we're throwing a new exception, we're going to return back to the caller at the call point and see that we're in a try block and that in fact we would like to be able to catch that exception, which we do. Then notice once again we are throwing another new exception object, and when we do this throw, we are again embedding the previous exception object, which was created down here at line 40, into the new exception object. So we actually have 3 exceptions chained together now, and all of their stack trace information is indeed included as well. Now finally, if you take a look up at main, when we return to main from throwing the exception at line 27, in main we're still in a try block, therefore we have an opportunity to catch the problem that occurred. We do catch it, and you notice here that we say to print a stack trace for that exception. Print stack trace is a method of all exception types, and it enables you to show everything that was going on at the time that the exception occurred. And it's important that you don't include empty catch handlers in your code. If in fact you want to trap an exception and not do anything about it, at least use the print stack trace method so that you see when something goes wrong in your code and therefore have an opportunity to go back and study the code and make sure things get fixed up. Now let's take a look in this example at the output, which we've already produced for you by running the program. And you can see here that at the first line of the output that an exception occurred, and it says that it was thrown in method 1. It was thrown at this class's method1 method in line 27, and that particular method was called from main at line 10. Well, let's go back and look at line 27 for a moment, and you can see at line 27 that indeed an exception was thrown there. We can also see that there was a chained exception that was wrapped into that original exception object. So taking a look at the next part, we see that the exception from line 27 was caused by another exception in method 2, and it shows you exactly where that problem occurred at line 40, and you can see that line 40 was called from line 23. Well, you can see here line 23 is indeed the call to method 2, and If you look at line 40, you can see where we threw the exception in method 2, and also the fact that another exception was embedded in that exception object. So when we go back to the output one more time, we can see that there was one other exception that caused the one in method 2. This one was thrown in method 3. That's our custom error message, and we see that method 3 at line 47 threw the exception, and method 2 at line 36 is where that exception got, or that method got called from. So if you look down here again, line 36 is where we called method 3, and line 47 is indeed where the exception was thrown from. So as you can see here, we are able to chain together exceptions, and the print stack trace capability of Java is able to show you the complete set of stack trace information, including all the different exceptions along the way that led to that problem if you use this chained exception concept.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than live lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish, or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.